Hello and welcome to Good For You with me, your host, Lucia Dramat. Now, this is the show where we celebrate and talk about all the things that are so good for you in life. I want you to live that wonderful life. I want you to glow up. I want you to be confident. I want you to be happy and have the type of life that you enjoy and you have purpose. Now, today's topic, I'm bringing out the big guns. These are the crazy things that stand in our way. Now, I've often done polls on social media, and something that comes out head and shoulders above the rest is this fear of failure. Whenever I ask people, what stops you from going out there and doing it? What stops you from achieving? It's either a lack of confidence or a fear of failure. So today, we are kicking the fear of failure right out the door. I've got some phenomenal guests that have done amazing things despite that fear of failure being present. So we're going to dive into that fully. Now stay tuned. Today's going to be a good one, and I cannot wait to show you what we've got up our sleeves. Here we go with today's show. This one is a big one. Fear of failure has been stopping so many of us stepping out and doing those great and wonderful things in our lives. And so today, let's tackle that fear of failure so that 2022 can be that year that you want it to be. We're not depending on anyone else to give us a magical, wonderful year. We're going to make it happen. And it starts by tackling the issues that hold us back. Now, my guest today, oh, she's phenomenal. The beautiful, phenomenal, wise Lauren Jacobs. Not only is she a multi-award-winning author, she's also a radio presenter, and she doesn't play. She tackles the issues. Not just that, she overcame the fear of failure when it came to public speaking, and then she went on stages like TED and Global Women Summits and so much more. Lauren, I'm so happy to have you here.
It's so nice to be with you, Lucia. Thank you for having me in this seat today.
I'm excited to have you here. I think that this topic is so powerful and so big. And you know what? I sit here and I think, no way do you write books about women that kick butts in the biblical times.
Yeah.
You're putting goals out there. You're challenging the issues. You're a radio presenter. You're speaking on these phenomenal platforms. And then this is all despite having this fear of failure. It's just wild for me to comprehend because you've achieved so much. Can you tell me, when was that first encounter that you were faced with, oh my gosh, I have this big fear of failure. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Sure, that's an interesting question. I first encountered fear of failure when I was probably about 11, which is quite young. I want to start off by saying and sharing my story that everybody's journey is unique and everybody's story is different. So for someone who's listening today, maybe they think, I also have a fear of failure, but your reason why you feel that way would be different from mine.
Yes.
You know, and I want to say that because I just want to honor someone who's just watching and saying, I also have that. So Lauren, you know, what's it about? For me, my fear has never been about what other people think. I really couldn't care what other people think of me, but I am a perfectionist. And it's a word that we use often and we hear often, and we go, I'm a perfectionist, and we say it as though it's like, oh, you know, you're wearing pink today.
Yes.
But it's actually, if you really have a perfectionism issue, it is actually a huge form of self-sabotage, self-abuse, really, in a sense. So I first encountered my own personal fear of failure when I was very young, when I was in school, because I always kind of set really high standards for myself.
Yes.
And was always concerned that I would fail for myself. I wasn't cared about what my parents thought, really. Not to say anything bad about them if they're watching, but my parents always believed in me. And this is something that I've processed through. I've had therapy for this, to talk through this. My parents always believed in me. In fact, my parents took me overseas, even before final exams. Lauren, you're going to pass. You're going to get 90%. They never worried about me. I mean, they took me away from studying to go have some playtime. It was always about me. Lauren, am I able to do this for you? So if I don't get something right, it's my own personal issue with myself. I sit with myself and go, why didn't you get that right? You know, I have to be good enough for myself. I don't have to be good enough for anybody else. You know, people show incredible belief and faith in me, but from a young age, I mean, even when I was in university, I used to develop skin conditions during exams because I was like, Lauren, you have to get that A. And I always did. And that's part of the problem. because you're always achieving that high
Yes.
standard, but you're doing it from a place of fear. And that was when I realized when I was in university, I'm achieving, but it's out of fear. And that's a problem for me.
That's where it gets dangerous. Oh my goodness, I still have so many questions to ask you. I definitely want to know, you are this person that has this strong sense of purpose, right? And you're always achieving these big things. And I don't think someone can achieve those big things without having that sense of, I need to do more. I want to try this. I'm going to go the extra mile. So you definitely have that. And we're about to go into an ad break, but just very quickly, how do you think that helps you overcome that fear of failure? What is it that you fuel yourself with?
I think for me, very much my faith. You know, as a theologian, you're studying something that you consider your own sacred text. Everybody's got their own sacred text that they consider sacred to their faith. For me, it's very much my faith. And then very much I've learned through the years to be very intuitive. How do I feel? You know, there is something deep inside of me that pushes me forward. And it's no longer fear, but it's a sense of I'm here for a purpose. Yes. And it's coming from a whole place. I no longer achieve things because of fear. It's now a sense of this is my destiny. And once you start coasting into that, it becomes very calming and very soothing. You know, not just, I'm going to get a skin condition because I'm fearful. You know, it's a sense of I'm here for something greater. And I want to end off what I'm saying with saying that, you know, people who are perfectionists, and I want to say it's, and who are high achievers in life, are destined for great things. Wow. That is why they are perfectionists. Every perfectionist I know is a master at their craft. And it's because they're meant to be. So we're destined for this, so we can do it.
And that is so true. And if you're sitting there and you're feeling the same, don't worry, this conversation is going to continue. We're going to an ad break. We'll be back. Welcome back. We are in the thick of things. We're dealing with the fear of failure, and it is a goodie. If you've just joined us, I'm Lucia Drummond, and this is Good For You. We're talking about all those things that make life good for you. Now, I've got two phenomenal guests in studio. Lauren and I have already dived into it, and now we're also welcoming Jill Carolison. She is such a phenomenal woman with a beautiful heart. And talk about beautiful heart, she also runs the Father's Heart Community Development. It isn't for Santa Claus, and they reach out to children, give them after-school programs, and they do so much for that community. And apart from that, she is a woman that had a corporate job, and at some point, she decided, I'm going to make a big move. And a fear of failure could very often stop someone in that position. So I'm so excited to dive into that, Jill. You know, the past few weeks, I've been receiving so many messages online, and I've had consultation sessions with people. And the big thing they're dealing with is things like, I'm an accountant and I want to leave my corporate job. I want to do something different. I'm in this position. I'm in marketing. I'm in that position. I want to change and do something else. People want this career change. After this 2 years that's been so crazy, they've really looked at their lives again and they've said, how can I do this differently? How can I live life more on my terms? I want to know, a few years ago, you did this. What was that moment that you knew, okay, I'm going to do this. This is real.
Well, Lucia, it was a culmination of a couple of things. I think, I was in the corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder, and that was great. You got all the affirmations that you wanted, and you're obviously making the money. But I just felt this deep sense of, I'm not really happy. I'm not really content. I looked at my life and I thought, there must be more to this. There must be more than just making money and going on nice holidays. I thought, I don't want to end my life and just be sitting there and be like, okay, she was happy. What was I actually put on this earth for? And that really started this whole, trying to find out what is my reason to be here? What is my purpose? It's not just to go out and make money. How do I actually use the skills and the talents and the love and the passions that I have, especially for me, which was for orphan and vulnerable children? How do I use that to make a difference in this world? And so that's really what started it. And so it was a bit of a crazy journey. It was also, I'm a born-again Christian, and so a lot of it was also, I just felt God was calling my husband and I into this space.
Yes.
And so looking at my passions, looking at my drive, the things that angered me, the justice that I wanted, to be able to be a voice for those that didn't have a voice. And so, I took a very, very big leap of faith and walked out of the corporate world and into community life.
How absolutely bold and amazing. I want to ask you this, because you guys are both these big achievers. To step out and leave everything and start this ministry, to write the books, to be the voice for women that you are, Was there a time that the fear of failure actually stopped you and you look back and you kick yourself like, how did I let this happen, Jill?
Well, definitely. I think when we started this journey, it was exceptionally scary. You know, coming out of corporate, I knew exactly what to do. I knew how things work. Going into community work, I knew nothing about community. I knew nothing about the life that was there. I just knew that I had this passion. I felt that I was called to do this. And I remember when we just started, I would sit on the couch and I would actually just cry and be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What do I think? I can't do this. You know, what makes me think that I can do this? And I think, you know, especially when you're in a corporate job and, you know, if you don't do your presentation or you're late for this or whatever, that's, you know, there's obviously consequences. But when you're in the job that I'm in and when it's lives that are on the line that are relying on you, especially for orphans who there's no one else fighting for them, you that person, and then you're thinking like, oh, if I mess up, I'm messing up on a royal scale, I'm messing up people's lives. So there were times where that fear, I mean, I wouldn't even get out of bed. I would literally lay in bed. And I would just lay there and cry, and I'd say to my husband, I just need a day or two because the fear was so debilitating. And yeah, so just trying to move on through that and finding a way to actually do that because I know that I owed myself better and I owed that these children specifically that I'm now serving, that I'm there for, that I'm fighting for, I owed it to them as well.
Wow, I love that. Lauren, how about you?
Definitely, you know, with my first book, I look back at it now and I'm like, oh, I released my first book in 2016, but I actually didn't know I was writing my book. I wrote it at a time when I was quite ill back in 2014. And I'd written something and it was chapters all over. It wasn't chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. It was chapter 1, 22. It was all over. And I also heard this voice saying to me, you need to put this on the computer. You know, this is a book. You've written something. You know, it was a divine voice. And I was just like, no, I don't know how to write dialogue. I have a degree in English. And I'm like, no, I don't know how to write dialogue. You see, it's this perfectionism, that fear. And I didn't do it for 6 months. I would not write my book finished. I just was like convinced it wasn't good enough. And you know what, when I did do it eventually, it was 2 weeks later and a traditional publisher, huge Media 24 company, contacted me, said, we're publishing a book. That was the start of my writing journey.
Wow.
Never looked back. But I looked at it and I go, wow, you know, I actually waited quite a long time to get to that point to believe that I'd written something special, you know, and that it was valuable. It was so valuable. And I think that it's just, I have learned from that because I still sometimes feel that way. With my books, I'm like, I'm not really sure. And then I'm just like, Lauren, you took an extra 6 months to finish that. You're not going to do that now. And then I just go, no, I'm not. And I just get busy, you know. So it's just about making that step. I don't regret it in any way, but I do believe that I've had to learn from it. Because we can sometimes procrastinate because we're fearful of failure. Absolutely. We just don't do anything, you know.
Just keep putting it off, and we keep putting it off, and we say, we'll get there, we'll get there, we'll get there. And I think that sometimes we look back and we've wasted so much time. Because when we put the time in, we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, 2 years just flew by. So if I had put it into what I really wanted to do, how far would I be right now? And that is what gets me. And that is what gets so many of us. How far would you be right now if you put it in right now? I've got 2 phenomenal guests in studio, and we're really diving into the fear of failure today. I've got some questions from the public that we are going to be answering in just a few minutes. Stay with us and let us help you take that next step, answer some questions that you are struggling with. I also want these lovely ladies to give us some tips and some tools that they use to progress past that place of the fear of failure and how it stopped them from moving forward to getting to a point where they are today and making the impact that they're making today. Stay tuned, we've got the break coming up. Welcome back, and if you've just tuned in, this is Good For You. I'm Lucia Drummond, and we are talking the fear of failure. Now, we've already had such a meaty talk today, and I've chatted to these phenomenal ladies. We've really spoken about their journeys, them tackling fear of failure, and now we're going to help you tackle fear of failure. Okay, so ladies, I've got some questions from the public. You are welcome to choose. Lauren, go ahead. What number do you want? We've got 1 till 4.
You said your favorite number is 2, so I'll go with 2.
It is number 2. That is my favorite. Number 2 is better than 1. 2 makes the magic happen. Okay, so here we go. This one says, I have failed a few times. How can I move forward without letting it stop me? And I think this is so relatable, whether it is in your health, in your career, And if you're an entrepreneur, my goodness, this happens more than you want it to happen. What would you say for that one?
Well, I would say one of the things that I've learned is to ask yourself, firstly, I don't like the word failure, so I don't use it anymore. I don't fear failure. But I think that one of the things you need to realize is that we will make mistakes in life. That life is imperfect. You know, we're never going to be perfect. So what we need to do is reframe it and say, if you're starting something, if you're doing something, you're writing a book. A lot of people want to write a book. Everyone asks me about writing a book, so here's what I have to say. Don't ask yourself, like, oh, is it going to be good enough? Will I be able to get a publisher? Is it going to be great? Reframe it and say, you know what? Am I okay about learning? Do I fear learning? Of course not. Hopefully not. You want to learn. You want to grow.
Yes.
Do I fear growing? Do I fear growth? Especially inner growth? No. I'm not afraid of growing. I'm not afraid of learning. I'm not afraid of getting more skills or soft skills, upskill myself. So if you do encounter something that, it looks like you're going to be failing at it,
Yes.
it's not failing. You can learn from it. You can grow from it. You can really, really just become a better person, a better human, better even in your skills, better in your writing, better in your business, better in your communication, whatever it may be. Reframe it and say, this is not about failures. I never ever fail in life. If I'm going to do something and it doesn't work out, I need to stop and ask why. What can I do better? How can I learn from this? Do I need to grow? Does my work need to grow? Do I need to take a short course to get better at what I'm doing? Do I need to, get more skills? What can I be doing? And then it's about looking at yourself and saying, I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I'm always becoming a better person for what I want to do, for my business, for others. We don't fail. We are going to encounter times that feel like failing, or feel like rejection maybe, feel like, oh, my greatest fears have been reached. Not at all. It's not failing to make mistakes in life. Even if a marriage doesn't work out, it's not a failure. You can learn from it. How can you better yourself? How can you better what you're doing? Reframe it, train your mind to see things as opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn. It's not opportunities to fail.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. Jill, your take, I failed a few times. How can I move forward without letting this stop me?
Well, I think, Lucia, just to add on, it is very, very easy to be like, oh, okay, I am a failure, and just sort of stamp that on yourself every time that you've gone through that. And I think it takes a little grit, it takes a little tenacity and resilience to fail and then pick yourself up. But I think that's all part of it. The learning is so important, but you just have to put yourself in that right mindset. I think your mindset is everything. Stop listening to everybody else. Get out there, just pick yourself up and have a real look at, okay, so what went wrong? Look at it through, don't get all emotional, don't get all, and listen, because everybody is going to have something to say. Cut off all the negative thinking and just very cleanly just look at it and be like, okay, fine, so what went wrong? What can I do better? What can I do? But try again. I think that for me is the most important thing. Get up and try it again. Eventually you will succeed. I'm a believer that there's no way that you can be like 50 times down the line, still not. You will always succeed as long as you just get up and try again.
I love that. I love that. That is so good. Thank you so much, ladies. You have added so much to today. You came and shared your stories. You're giving us practical tips, things that we can use to move forward. And you know what? Sometimes it's just seeing someone else do something, or just seeing behind the scenes, knowing, ooh, she stayed in bed. She felt, oh my word, this is too big for me. How am I going to do this? And then she got up. Then she did what she needed to do. That just pulls me out. Hey, I feel like I don't want to get out of bed, but she got out of bed. How about I try today? How about I take that little step? How about I get my head in the right space? So thank you so much. Now, ladies, if people want to reach out to you, Lauren, how can people reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Well, I always say people can send me a nice email on my website. It's laurenjacobs.co.za. Super simple.
Simple as
Or Instagram. I love Instagram because I love photos. It's Lauren Jacobs Author. And then send me a message or send me a DM. Don't ask me to write a book for you, please. I get a lot of those. Just send me a DM and say hi. I love giving you some tips on life.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, then Jill, how can people contact you if they want to find out more? Also, even about getting involved with what you do. Where can people reach you?
I think the best would be to go to our website. It's www.thefathersheart.org.za. And there, all my details are on there. There's email, our general information number.
Fantastic.
You can also follow us on Facebook. All my details are also there. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
So, thank you so much for having us.
I've had some phenomenal guests today, and they just shared so much of their lives. They shared their vulnerability, they shared who they are, and what's been happening behind the scenes. Sometimes we see the Instagram moments, the beautiful moments, and we see them on the stage. We see them reaching out to the community, running these big projects, and we say, my goodness, how do they do it? How did they get there? I can never be that person. But you know what? It starts somewhere. It starts with that mindset development, and I want to give you some takeaways that you can use. One of the things that stood out for me today was reframing and being open to learning. Sometimes we want to get it right the first time. We don't want to allow ourselves to grow into things. And I've mentioned this before, if you've been watching, that most things are a process. And sometimes we want to pop it in the microwave, take it out, and it must be finished. No, but it needs time. And time gives us space to learn and grow. And when you learn and grow into something, then you've got it. It's a skill that is yours, that you've worked for, and nobody can take it away from you. So don't be afraid to learn and grow. Go for it. Reframing really stood out for me. Really also talking yourself through things. Sometimes saying, is it actually as bad as I'm making it? Is it really this terrible situation, or am I blowing it up more? Really detaching the emotions so that you can get done what you need to get done. Put off that procrastinating, and then get to the thing that you actually want to do. Those are my big takeaways today. I hope it speaks to you. I hope it encourages you. I don't just want to give you a takeaway, I want to do a giveaway as well. I'm giving away my wonderful week planner, and if you'd like to win this and start your new year off planning and organizing yourself, then go to this specific post on my Instagram. The details will be below, and you can go and comment there, and you could be the winner of this fantastic, wonderful week planner. That's it from me. Thank you for spending your time with me here today. It's always an honor. We'll be back next time. Enjoy your week. Till then.